Have you ever heard familiarity breeds contempt? Have you ever thought about what that statement or what that phrase means? It means that the more familiar you become with someone or something, the more unlikely you are to be enamored with it. The more unlikely you are to respect it, the more likely you are to lose interest in it. Is that true? In my line of business, relationship counseling, one of the things that I've found is that the truth is that most people are not comfortable when someone else knows them really well, or most people are not comfortable when someone claims to know them well. This is the dynamic of relationships, all relationships. When one person is invested and the other person is not, that person that is invested takes their time to study their partner, to understand their idiosyncrasies, their likes and dislikes, to pay attention to their moods, their emotions, whether they like it or not, they're paying attention because they're invested and they're trying to figure out how to make this relationship better. Whereas the other person in the relationship tends to go the other direction. They're moving away from this kind of familiarity. How many of you are comfortable with someone knowing you intimately? How many of you are comfortable with someone knowing your truth? How many of you are comfortable with someone knowing everything about you? Let me provide the answer. Most people are not. Because if most people were comfortable with someone else knowing them intimately, they would think about this as being a blessing instead of being a curse. Think about it. When men cheat or women cheat, one of the primary reasons, it has nothing to do with sex really, is because of the thrill. It's like a drug, right? They're addicted to the fact that this is a new beginning, a new start, a fresh experience. It is exhilarating. This is like falling in love all over again every single time. It's like they're looking for a hit every single time. And sometimes they get the hit, and other times they fail to do so. In relationships is the opposite. As you get to know each other, as you live with each other, as you get closer to each other, what tends to happen is that you either grow together or you can grow apart, because sometimes, and most often than not, both people do not generally grow in the same direction. One person is always coming towards the other person is moving away, whether it's their own lack of personal growth or commitment to the process. Is very seldom that you find both people on the same page. It is not impossible. The relationships that are successful are people who are growing together and who are comfortable with the other person knowing them, and also understand that their ability to understand the other person will add value to the relationship. But most people are not comfortable in themselves. Most people don't understand themselves. And therefore, when you come into a relationship where you bring that with you, where there's a lack of understanding of yourself, it makes it difficult when the other person calls you out on stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about. Someone is pinpointing your flaws and faults, and you are getting defensive, you're pulling away because you don't want this person to see your vulnerability. You don't want this person to see you truly as you are. And that's because everybody knows this. We wear masks. When we come into a relationship, the first thing we do is put on our happy mask, our best selves, or an illusion of our best selves. And then that gets disintegrated as this other person is interacting with you, and they recognize your flaws and your faults. And maybe they accept them, or maybe they don't. How realistic or is it, or should I say, how unrealistic is it to expect to come into a relationship where everything is okay all the time? Is that a realistic expectation? Maybe some of you can tell me if it is or not. You can make your comments here. But I truly believe that a realistic expectation is that both people understand that a relationship is always going to be good. There are days when you're not going to like the other person, and the days when you're going to love the other person. That's a human condition. The human condition is one where you're constantly working through your own salvation while dealing with somebody else's salvation. It's truth. As you're trying to work on yourself, as you're trying to discover who you are in a relationship, You also now have to discover who the other person is. And it seems like a lot, and it can be a lot, especially if you're not willing to acknowledge the truth. I'm all about the truth. The truth will set you free. I didn't say that, but it's absolutely true. So here's the other thing, right? How many of you marry the person or you're with the person you're with because you saw potential? You saw things in them that you knew that if they capitalize on these things, that they would become the best thing since sliced bread. The problem with that is you cannot get with someone just because you see their potential, or you cannot help someone to realize their potential unless that person is on board with the whole plan. If that person does not understand their potential or is not willing to explore their potential or to become the best that they can be, you will spend a lot of time spinning your wheels. You will spend a lot of time trying to convince that person that they can be what you believe they can be. But how can you convince someone to believe something that they're not willing to believe themselves? Stop and ask yourself that. Are you here with this person because you see potential? You see a possibility, you see their future? Getting that person to see their future is key, but not losing yourself in the process is also important. And many people tend to lose themselves while they're trying to help the other person to find themselves. Yeah, relationships are temperamental. Relationships are not, there's nothing that is written in code that says this is how it should be. There are millions of books and you know, and speakers and teachings on relationships. But the truth of the matter is that the only way a relationship truly can be successful, and if both of you commit to the process of understanding that it takes work and it takes compromise. Compromise is a big part of relationships. It is one of the 4 C's of a relationship: commitment, communication, compromise, and compatibility. But compromise is where you will spend the rest of your entire relationship after you get married, after you have children. Everything you do in this relationship will require you to compromise. Not compromise yourself or your values, but compromise with your partner so you both can have a favorable outcome. Most people in relationships don't know how to compromise. Most people who have failed marriages fail to compromise. Most people who are having issues in their relationship don't understand what compromise is. It behooves you to understand what compromise is. You can research it, you can look it up, but that's where most of the relationship is spent in order for it to be successful. Yeah, there are other things that are needed for the relationship to be successful, but your ability to listen to your partner and allow your partner, you know, the freedom, not just of speech, but the freedom of expression, and your ability to take that expression and allow that person to trust you with that expression is more valuable than anything else. Ignoring someone's voice, ignoring someone's cry for help is just as detrimental as shooting yourself in the foot in a relationship. You need to listen to your partner. You need to pay attention to what they're saying. And more importantly, you need to give what they're saying credence. A lot of people believe that they're not being heard in relationships. This is another biggie. If you don't believe you're being heard, it's because you feel that your voice is being drowned out. But more than your voice being drowned out is that your value is being minimized. I hear that a lot. I don't feel like my emotions are given credence. I feel like my emotions are being minimized. I feel like I'm being minimized. It is important to allow your partner to express themselves without making them feel less than. That's another gold nugget. You have to consider the other person's feelings in order for the relationship to blossom, to grow, or to develop. I love what I do. I enjoy helping couples. But the biggest issue for me in dealing with relationship counseling is the unrealistic expectation about the person that you're with, the unrealistic expectation about what relationships are supposed to be. And I keep on saying this, I've said it in a lot of other videos. Relationships are work. Relationships take time. and relationships need realism. If you're unrealistic in any form or any fashion coming towards the relationship, it is going to be a recipe for disaster. Stop setting yourself up. Stop believing that the person you're with is perfect. There's no such thing as perfection in this realm. There's only the aspiration to perfection or the constant strive to perfection. But perfection is not something that is required in order to have a great relationship or to enjoy a healthy and successful relationship. What is required is a willing desire to accept the other person as they are, with their flaws, with their faults, with their imperfections, and understand that that does not mean that you cannot love this person that you did not know. It's going to take you a lifetime to get to know each other. But if you commit to the process, and if you're willing to compromise on the things that you do not like or the things that you do not accept about the other person, you will have a successful relationship. I hope these nuggets, golden nuggets, were of value to you. My name is Ingrid Felton. As always, thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking the videos. And thank you for your comments. I value those as well. And continue to tell others what I'm doing here. And if you need to reach out to me, 813-708-9064. Thanks. Bye-bye.